Hey y'all, in this video I'm going to share another 3D printed case and show you how to make it unique. This is a follow-up to my previous video where I have simplified the design for users who only want to use an AMD APU or Intel system with built-in graphics. I also added a second hard drive slot in case people wanted more storage. Here you can see how I laid out the print files, and just like my previous design, the links to these files are available for free in the description below. I'm dedicating this build to the Golden State Warriors for winning the 2022 NBA Championship, but you can make it any color you want, like shown here. In my previous build, I had some serious issues while printing, but I was very happy to report that I didn't face too many issues for this print. I used conventional supports and a raft this time to make things simple, even if it took a little longer. This build was designed around AMD's Wraith Spire heatsink, a Flex ATX power supply, and two ordinary 2.5-inch serial ATA hard drives. I'll list the tools I used down below, but thanks to a viewer, I was reminded that I owned some side cutters that made processing easier and safer than before. Surprisingly, no blood was shed in this build. With the prints completed and my tools laid out, it was time to process the prints. I won't be going in depth like in my previous video, based on suggestions from viewers, but I hope I cover enough of the process to make it clear so you can make this on your own. Removing the main raft and supports was fairly straightforward. A little elbow grease and patience always helps. Some parts were easy to remove with just your hands. While other parts needed some help from a tool. And other parts needed help with a combination of two tools or more. It's always a nice feeling when supports just pop out without any fuss. If you watched my previous video, you'll remember that I had to repair this area with a soldering iron. A little wiser now, I took my time with this part and I'm happy to report that the soldering iron was not brought out for repairs. The side panels were easy to cut since the brim was very thin and the blade was sharp. Just take things slow so you don't cut yourself. There was still some finishing work for the main part. My blade and the side cutters made an easy job of dealing with the stringing, blobs, and leftover supports. To attach the parts together, I like to use these threaded inserts since they allow me to repeatedly take apart the case and the components. Using my 30-watt soldering iron, I slowly pressed in the inserts for the motherboard stands and side panel mounts. Make sure to keep the inserts straight while pressing them in. The post-processing of the 3D printed parts is finally done, and it was time to move on to assembling the build. If you intend to use 2.5-inch hard drives for your build, it's best to attach the data and power cables to the hard drives before installing them into the case. I found that routing the cables like I show here works best for this case, but you might be able to install it differently if you use different cables. With the hard drives installed, the next step is to install the power supply. If you use a modular power supply, I bet the installation would be easier. The I/O panel goes in next and should just snap in easily. I assemble the CPU, heatsink, RAM, and NVMe drives in the motherboard before putting them into the case. I wired the power button myself, but will link a pre-made unit down below. Sliding in the motherboard might take some fiddling. There should be enough room to get it in though. Just take your time and be mindful of any cables that might be in the way. The power button is next and slides in the hole easily. The lock washer and nut just need to be hand tight to be functional. Because the I/O panel puts some tension on the motherboard, using your second hand to slightly compress the two together helps when you screw the motherboard in. Here, I'm just checking to see that the motherboard is firmly in place. With everything screwed in, I now tidy up the cables to make sure they don't get in the way of the heatsink fan or put too much pressure on other components. I could take more time making the cables neater, but I knew the case would be taken apart after this video. The side panel screwed in with no issues. It's so close to being done. I really like these Wi-Fi antennas for their size, and they still work great. I highly recommend them for small builds just like this. I will link them below. To really tie in the Golden State Warriors theme, I designed some yellow decals to put on the case. It's going to be a popular catchphrase by Stephen Curry, the star player of the team. Making and applying the decal has its own process that I show in the next clips, involving transfer paper. And with that, the case is complete. Before showing the final shots of the case, I took some thermal images while I ran a heavy 3D program to see how hot it got. The vented side panels kept everything working just fine. And now for the hero shot. It was really fun making this case, and I hope some of you found this video helpful. If you like this case, hit the like button, and let me know what you think about it in the comments. Make sure to also subscribe to see my future cases. Here's a sneak peek of what's coming up. Thanks for watching.